Hello. How are you guys today? I hope you guys are having an awesome Saturday. I'm here. Sacred Para is Saturday. I'm a little bit late. I was having some phone issues, so for technical difficulties, I ended up having to come at a later time. My husband had to readjust my phone so that when I would be with you guys, there wouldn't be any interruptions or any kind of static or any Wi-Fi issues. So I'm here, and I hope that you guys are having an awesome Saturday today. I'm going to brighten up my phone a little bit on my side. I'm hoping that I am brightened on your side so you can clearly see me. And voila, there we go. Now I see myself better. Hi, Ethnic Doll. Thank you for joining. So today, hi, Coach Play. That's my husband. Thank you for joining. He's downstairs with our kids, all 10 of them. Yes, he's a brave soul. So I thank him so much. In fact, they set up everything over here, and I'm very, very thankful. I am just wanting to tell you guys thank you again. Thank you for all of your encouragement. Thank you for the love that you show, the support that you show. Thank you for consistently joining me every Saturday. Then, of course, when I have like those special nights and we end up having it not on a Saturday, but like on a Thursday or a Wednesday. And we got 2 of those that are actually coming up that's going to be at a different time. But you always show such love and support. So I want to thank you guys for that. And if you're watching this in replay, thank you. So even if you're not watching it live, I want to tell you thank you. So let's get into it today. So today's topic was about how to create in a dark place. And I'm curious to know if anyone really did wonder what a dark place was. Because, of course, we have Halloween coming up. And I imagine that some people were probably like, oh, she must be talking about how to create Halloween themes and how to be able to make all these different Halloween decorations in miniature form. And actually, I am, but I'm not. Because we're artists, and some of us are very familiar with a dark place and what a dark place is. So there was a scripture that I heard on Sunday. I think it was Sunday, there's Monday. And it just really just shook me down to my bones. And it was, my soul is downcast within me. Now, some people may read scripture and some people may not. And that's totally fine. Like, there's no judgment here. It's just what helps me, encourages me, and helps me to understand life, understand myself, gives me hope and inspiration. And so whatever gives you hope and inspiration, I feel in my heart, that's what you need to move with, as long as it's in a positive way, right? Hi, Moon Pie Dumpling. Thank you for joining. So this particular verse says, my soul is downcast within me. And it's the prophet Jeremiah, and he's speaking. And it just hit me so hard because I'm taking an art therapy course right now. And actually I'm taking like 2 courses, but I'm taking an online course in art therapy. And one of the things that is constantly talked about are how artists have such issues of being in dark places. And I was like, why am I didn't really sign up for a mental health class, right? I signed up for art therapy course so I can be certified in art therapy. That is what I signed up for. But this particular instructor goes on and on and on and on about patients who have schizophrenia, patients who have depression, patients who have who are dealing with schizophrenia, and then like showing the art that they have. And I should say right now that this is a triggering conversation that we're going to have today. So just in case, any of these topics are kind of, bothering you, then I would advise you to go ahead and probably jump off, because I don't want to have anyone on here and it brings back any kind of past issues for you, anything of that nature. But this is kind of like a heavy topic, but it's something that we need to discuss because we're artists. We're doing things on this particular platform with our dolls that has to deal with therapy, regardless if we realize it or not. It's something that gives us hope, it gives us encouragement, and it's also a form of self-care. Our hobbies are a form of self-care. So when I'm taking this course and I'm listening to the instructor, he's constantly going on about patients with schizophrenia, patients who are dealing with stroke and depression and anxiety. And initially, I kind of felt like this is not the right place for that. We should be talking about the art therapy of I understand that we need to discuss about patients and their symptoms and DSM-4, DSM-5 situations. But in the same hand, let's talk about, how we're going to do this therapy and write the book and get the workshops going, right? Because I'm just like, focused. That's my main thing. But then I came to realize how much what he was saying was relative to the platform that we do right here on Instagram. There are so many different times that I log on and I see different members of our doll community and they say, I'm just not in a doll mood right now. Send me positive vibes, pray for me. I'm fine. I'm fine. Life is on track. And then they have the little meme down at the bottom and the railroad track is down into the river and just like completely all the tracks are just in chaos. And they're just saying like, hey, I'm going through it right now. I'm not really in a doll mood. I need some encouragement. And there's some people who say, I've just been dealing with some depression and, hey, let's be honest. We're real people dealing in real time. We have real life situations that affect us, members of families who have been affected by COVID and just different situations. Life happens, still having the same stressors. Some people don't even realize it's a pandemic. Hi, Deb Owens. Some people don't even realize it's a pandemic and are still, behaving in ways that can make you go, wow, do you realize that this is not the time for the extra stress? So I think that it's important for us to be realistic about what we're facing and also be honest with ourselves as artisans that we come to a place where our soul is downcast. And it may not affect everyone. It may not. Okay? It may not be your thing. You may be able to go through life jolly, just completely full of hope and joy, and you never have an issue with anxiety or depression or anything of that nature. You don't go into dark spaces and dark caves, and that's great. If that's you, that's great. That's not my story, though. Because I have those issues where I go into dark places and where, like creating art is not always at the top of my list. Hi, Barbie Size Life of Vinla. It's just not at the top of my list. Thank you for joining. And I began to understand that what my instructor was saying in this online course and the work that he has us doing is very relative to the hobby that I'm into. It's very, very ingrained in what we're doing. So the title of today's show is How to Create in Dark Places. How do I create? One of the things that we want to look at is it's really quite normal. Hi, Life and Dolldom. How are you, soul sister? Home alone, I can finally listen to you in real time. Yay! I'm glad to hear that. But we want to, I want you guys to know that if you do have any issues with, feeling depressed, feeling down, having what we call baby blues, like especially if you just had the baby, postpartum issues, anxiety, you just don't really feel that notion to do anything that's doll related. I want you to know that it's normal. It's normal. I've seen some messages where people say, I don't know what's going on with me. I just don't feel like doing anything with dolls right now. I wanted to say hi to you guys. And I'm sure if you're on here right now, you've seen those same messages in people's stories or even on their page. And they're just like, I just wanted to pop in on here. I haven't been doing anything with dolls, but I want you guys to know that I'm okay. So we get hit with life. We get hit with issues to where the things that we enjoy so much, we may not have the same energy to put forth to do it. First and foremost, I want you to know that's normal. It's okay to not feel okay. I'll say it again. It's okay to not feel okay. This particular platform with Instagram and with our storylines, or if you do fashion, if you do outdoor pictures, if you do wilderness pictures, whatever you do, if you do random pictures, if this is your online journal, okay, I want you to know that this is something that we should enjoy. It shouldn't be something that we feel pressured in, even if you get sponsorship. And I'm not getting sponsored, so I can't really say exactly what that kind of life is like, because I don't know if there are deadlines and pressures. I imagine that there are deadlines. But even with the deadlines, you should understand that it is completely normal and fine to not feel fine. That's a normal situation It doesn't mean anything's wrong with you. It doesn't. I've seen people literally pack up. Like I haven't seen them with my own eyes, but I have seen the pictures that they've posted where they have packed up their dolls, packed up the accessories, and they're going to ship them out because they just don't feel like doing it anymore. There was someone who posted before and they said, I sold off my dolls and I'm having to start all over again because I just didn't feel like dolling it anymore. And that's okay. Maybe it was time for you to start off new. Maybe there was something going on with those dolls and you didn't need to be attached to it anymore. And so, good Lord was like, you don't need those anymore. It was time to get them out of the house and start off new. I can't really say. Maybe it was time for that. But I don't want anyone to feel like them not wanting to do dolls anymore makes them weird or abnormal or something's wrong with you. It's okay to be affected by real life and come to a place where you're just like, I need a break and you need to take a pause. Perfectly fine. So that would be my first thing, is to understand it's okay. The next thing is look at the root of it. And what's really the root? Is it really that your mini-me is kind of like giving you all these heebie-jeebie feelings and making you feel really anxious and making you feel like you have to commit to posting each and every day her story or his story? Is it really the mini-me or your main character that's making you feel that pressure? Or is it just like this internal pressure that's going on? Or even an external pressure? Like sometimes I can have so much going on around me, so many voices and different text messages and people's expectations of who I should be, that it creates in me this ball of frustration, a ball of confusion, to where I almost feel like I have to take these pictures. I have to get the storyline out so I can feel relieved from everything I'm feeling right now. But then everything's going on. Like I've told you guys several times, I have 10 kids. So my husband and I had 10 kids, and it gets very bombarding. It gets very bombarding. My husband has his business that he's starting off and he's sending out his contracts, and I'm doing school and he's finishing up his course. And so we got a lot going on. I'm still an indie author. It gets busy. It gets hectic, and you still got diapers to change. You still got food to make, right? You still got, family, and the pressures of family. Oh my God. So it gets hectic, and it's very easy to want to escape into our imaginative land so we don't have to deal with what's going on around us, or at least to be able to channel that energy, just harness it into our photos. But what do you do when you don't have the time? What do you do when, even if you have the time, your energy is so just lacking at that time? You have to look at the root. She said, I have no idea how you do it. I have one kid and I'm exhausted. It is exhausting. But like I've said before, it's coffee. First off, it's Jesus, coffee, and bourbon. Let's be honest. Okay. A little bit of bourbon makes it a little easy. So not when you're like tipsy, like, not like that, but just being able, to have that little, relaxation and, continue on going forth. But nonetheless, I digress. Thank you. Thank you for that. What do you do? What is the root? Really examine yourself, because I believe too often we say things like, oh, I'm just depressed. You're not depressed. There's this energy of depression that's trying to fill your being and your body. But you yourself, your name is not depressed. You are your name. And right now you may be feeling the symptoms of depression, or the symptoms of anxiety, or the symptoms of expectations. But hello, how are you, Mel Jojo? I hope I said that right. But you are not the actual diagnostic symptom, okay? You're just feeling the actual symptoms of it. Just like if someone has a cold, does that make them the cold? No, it just means that they're dealing with the symptoms of cold. They're dealing with the symptoms of a virus. And that's really the same thing whenever you're feeling the anxiety and the pressure come in, and you're feeling like you're in a tight space and it feels really, really dark, and you're not able to create, either because of time constraints or or you're lacking that energy. So it's really important that when I normalize it and understand I'm not alone on here, that there's many other people who feel the same kind of feelings that I do, especially when we talk about creatives. Because I believe that and it's not knocking anybody else who's more like on a logical platform. And I'm not saying that we're not logical, but I'm just saying, like, as far as just being very, scientifically based. I'm not saying that they can't be sensitive beings as well, because they can. So I'm not trying to put anybody in a box, okay? But what I am saying is that we who are creatives, I believe, in my opinion, that we do have more of an unction to be more sensitive and more compassionate, and we feel things more. How else would we be able to create the storylines that we do, or be able to put our feet into someone else's ethnicity to be able to know how they would dress if we do fashion? Because we feel what other people feel more so than others in other genres, in other occupations. So again, I'm not trying to put anybody in a box. I am generalizing as far as why we may have feelings of anxiety a little bit more than what someone else may. It doesn't make you weird, doesn't make you an outcast, but look at what is triggering that. And like I said, today would be a little bit more of a triggering message. If it's too much for you, definitely hop off. Join me next week or go to one of my other lives that's on here, okay? Because I don't want to trigger anyone. But hi, my little curvy world. And it's so very true. What is triggering it? Could it be something that I'm viewing? Because I'll be very honest with you. In the therapy class that I'm a part of, the online course, there's times that they put artwork on there that comes from patients who may have schizophrenia or dealing with bipolar disorder. And I'll be honest, sometimes I have to fast forward through it. Why? Because it can be triggering for me. I know that that's something that I have to manage in my own life, as far as making sure that I don't go into what my husband and I call the cave. Sometimes when you go in the cave, it's really, really hard to get out. It's not like something that you're feeling downcast for, 30 minutes. Then you're like, well, it's no big deal. I guess I'll just get over it. And you're right back in it, into life. No, sometimes when you go in those caves and in those dark places, it can take a while to get out. And you can kind of feel like, oh, okay, I'm fine. And you're doing your responsibilities and your duties the way that you need to, because you have to. But deep down inside, just like the prophet has said, you feel downcast in your soul. And given a moment by yourself, those thoughts will start coming, and they'll start to spiral, or it'll do like a spider web and before you know it, you can be stuck in a dark place without any warning, because you never really did get over it. You were just doing your responsibilities and your duties. So that's why I'm saying, let's examine what is triggering me. What's making me feel like I'm in a dark place? Like I said, me viewing the images right now, especially being in my postpartum phase, it is not a good thing for me. So I do have to fast forward over the viewing of the paintings and drawings that the instructor has on there. And it's no offense to him. It's just, I know me. And I know what it takes for me to stay healthy mentally. I know what it takes for me to be healthy physically. I know what it takes for me to be healthy spiritually. Now I'm still learning me, but from what information I've gathered from myself, from my conscious and unconscious, I'm going to make sure that I try my best to stay healthy without involving myself into paintings and drawings that would trigger me. So I do have to fast forward over it. It could be people. We don't want to talk about it, but the reality is it could be people that trigger you, especially when we talk about family members. I'll give you a real quick case study that I had learned when I was in counseling. I had to think back. I was like, was it in psychology or counseling? This one was actually in counseling. And there was an institution, I believe in like the 20s or 30s, and they were dealing with schizophrenic patients. And the patients would actually show improvement. And they would, say, hey, since you're doing so well, it was done on an incentive program. Since you're doing so well, we're going to let you go back home for the holidays and spend time with your family. The patients would come back from the holiday, like Thanksgiving, in which they may have only been gone for 2 or 3 days. And they would come back worse than when they first came. So what they found was that sometimes a person that is identified as a patient, we call it ID, person that is the identified patient or IP, is not actually the issue. They said the issue were the family members who wanted to kind of box them in and say, okay, this is the one that's the mentally sick one. And they would and sometimes that was actually what they found, the healthy one. It was just that because of the issues and the dysfunction of the family, and they would kind of do this escapism, like the scapegoat. So they would just put all the issues and compile it on that one family member. And that one family member wasn't able to handle it, and they didn't have anyone else to reach out to who would be able to understand and see their point of view. They just kind of went, they end up having unhealthy mental issues, which would send them to the institution. But what they found was that it really was not the issue of the patient. So I say that because maybe some of us feel like, what's wrong with me? Like I said, I've seen the stories. I've seen the posts. I'm a person. I know I've felt it before myself many, many times. What's wrong with me? What's going on with me? Look at what's triggering you. Who are the people around you? What issues do they bring to you? There's a prayer that I do for myself as often as I can. It's a serenity prayer. And some of us may know it either from church, or you may have seen it, in one of the craft stores, and they'll have it hanging on one of their walls, or, if someone is in, Alcoholics Anonymous, AA, then they say it there. And it's just that prayer of serenity, as far as like, God grant me the serenity to be able to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So if you're being compiled with issues that come from family members, or you're watching the news and it's just really freaking you out because there's so much that's going on, it's just back to back to back to back between the government, between what's going on with the virus, what's going on with the money, what's going on at the grocery store, what's going on with the farmers, what's going on in a whole nother continent. If that right there is triggering for you, and I really don't have the power to change this. Like I could definitely work my way into college and get all the lessons that I need and do an internship at the White House and this and this and that. But also I got to account for my age. And I also got to account for the fact of being that I'm a mom and I'm a wife and I got this and this. I don't even know if I could go to school right now and become that political advisor that I'm looking to be. Don't let that stress you out. That's when you really need to do a good old cleansing breath and realize I have to accept what's going on right now. It doesn't mean I can't send positive energy in this direction of the situation. It doesn't mean I can't pray about the situation, but me getting to the point where it's causing anxiety and heart palpitations and blood pressure raising, cold sweats, not being able to sleep, that right there is not healthy for me. And I have to be around, right? I have to be around. And I'm saying that as an encouragement to myself and to anyone else that's listening. I have to be around. I don't care if it's like one of those situations where you feel that no one else cares about you. Guess what? These dolls right here care about you. And guess what? We in this doll community care about you. And that's something that I have to remember as well. So we don't want to get into that dark place so deep to where we feel that no one else cares and no one else is around here and I'm all by myself, because you're not. You're not. So allow yourself to be able to create in a space that's of love, that's allow you to know that you're loved as well. But don't feel so much pressure. Your dolls are not really pressuring you to post every single day. Now, if that's your thing and you're able to do it and you don't have any issues, you don't have any mental anxiety or anything of that nature, do it. But if you're feeling that this is really for us whenever we're coming to that place of being in a dark place. If you're in a dark place and you're not able to create, you're not able to think of a storyline, you're having writer's block, don't force the process. Our dolls are here for us and they're waiting. This doll community has been such a blessing to me. So very patient, so much love, constant encouragement, DMs, messages, sending me packages, just the love, the outpour, the generosity, the prayers, the positive energy. It is just beyond me. I mean, we're here. Okay. So even if you have to take a break for a little bit, we're here. Don't feel the pressure as a means of feeling stress. Recognize your triggers, and if possible, cut them off. Yes, friendships are so important in life, and Daldom. You're right. Friendships is what really does help get you through. Like, there are stories that we share with each other that helps us to understand I'm not alone. What, you went through that? How did you get through that? And then the strength that they exude just gives you encouragement to get through whatever you're going through as well. So don't neglect the connections that you make on this platform. That's one of the most positive things that I can say. So definitely understand that it's not you. You're not your symptoms. You're not anxiety. You're not depression. You're not whatever, whatever you're feeling right then. You're just going through the symptoms of it, and allow that to pass. Don't allow that to become who you are. Look around you, examine yourself. Is this internal pressures or is this external pressures? Is there any way that I can cut people off or cut off the TV? You don't have to have the TV on the news. You can actually turn it off. You don't have to have it on. It may be kind of hard, but you can turn it off. You don't have to go to Google News. You can turn it off. You don't even have to go to it at all. You can put it on some music that you enjoy. Dance to it. Yeah, get into it. Allow yourself to vibe. You can put on some comedy. Laugh a little, Allow yourself to feel some enjoyment. And it may not be like immediate. You may not, even if you watch a comedy, I don't care if it's Eddie Murphy, you could be like, and afterwards still feel a little down. But it almost does like liquid going into a jar. Because the more that you laugh and the more that you dance and the more that you allow yourself to just loosen up, that jar just starts to fill up with liquid. And before you know it, you start feeling a full jar of joy that you didn't even know was there. So it may not be instant, but you just have to keep letting it pour in. Let that joy just keep pouring in. Let that hope just keep pouring in. Like I said, I'm coming from experience, y'all. This is not me coming from some book and being like, this is what you need to understand about yourself. No, this is me saying, like, I have walked through the valley of the shadow of death. Like, real talk. I have been through some cave experiences, and it's not one of those, oh, because she's married. Oh, because she has all those kids. No. Like, I have dealt with the in and out of emotional depression since I was very, very young. Very, very young. And I have a mother that's very boisterous with her personality. She's an extrovert. She may be on here right now. She enjoys being able to have the full center stage, and you do, and it's okay. And so it would kind of make me just shell up a little, right? And so, like, we would go to Detroit, which is my hometown, and go visit family. And my mother would have her full stage. Hello, I'm here. And my family on my mother's side are they're bullies. They enjoy bullying people. Like that's their love language. And I've said it to her, so even if my aunt watches this, praise the Lord. But their love language is in bullying. I, on the other hand, am more sensitive, and so, like, bullying really does, like, take me somewhere mentally, and I would just escape upstairs. Like, that's what I would do. I would just go upstairs at my grandparents' house, let everyone else have their full stage, and I would be gone. Well, I later learned that my family thought I was moody and grumpy. It was told me, when I had hooked up with my husband, I was told by my aunt, don't let him see how grumpy that you can be and how moody that you are. And I was like, wow, like, I really don't think I'm grumpy or moody. But to come to find out, when I would go to these dark places and I would have these times where I just wanted to be left alone and kind of collect my thoughts, it was seen as if, hi, Mom, seen as if I was just like, being grumpy and being moody and being depressed. And it wasn't high small world escapism. It really wasn't the case. It was that I was being triggered, right? And so I would kind of get into an alone spot and then guess what would be there with me? My thoughts. And I didn't really know how to manage those thoughts at the time. And I remember being like in middle school, and I would have to do something like do the laundry and fold your clothes, and I would just start crying. And I really didn't understand why. Now, keep in mind, too, I was also bothered by the factor being that my dad really wasn't involved in my life. And he was a minister, and it was like, how can you be a minister and not be involved in my life? And I later came to a greater understanding of what took place, and, was able to forgive him, and we were able to communicate and have some semblance of a relationship. But in middle school, I was really, really bothered. I had so much going on, and my mother was living her life, and my friends were living their life, and I was an only child and very creative and didn't really know how to exactly express it. And so I would draw and paint on my furniture, draw and paint on my walls, because there was just so much inside of me. And I didn't know how to get it out. And there really wasn't anyone that was there to be like, hey, this is what's going on with you. You're not depression. You're not anxiety. You're not anger. You're creative, and you feel so much passion, and you need to have an outlet to let it out. So because I felt so smothered, it came out in other ways. And that's why I'm here today to say, you are not the symptoms of whatever you're feeling. Those things will pass. Don't judge yourself by your dark places. Allow those things to pass and yet make you stronger. How does it make me stronger? Because you can create characters based off of what you feel in those dark moments. You can create poetry. You can create songs. You can create sculptures, all different kind of things. Don't allow those moments to take place and then you kind of feel regretful for feeling that way. Because I think that can become a place of shame for us, where we feel like, I shouldn't feel so sad and so down. And then once when you feel happy, you now feel bad for allowing yourself to feel that sad. Like, I should have never felt like that. I should know better than that. And if you happen to be someone who's in ministry, it can be even worse, quite honestly, because you're made to feel like you should have the Spirit of the Lord and joy all inside of you. And if you feel anything other than that, then you are not fulfilling the calling on your life. And that's not true. You're still human. Even Jesus wept. And whatever religion that you're a part of, I'm pretty sure there's also this place of compassion within the faith. And you have to be able to align yourself with that. Have compassion for yourself. If you could say to someone else, it's okay, have hope, you're going to get through this. Say that to yourself. It's okay, have hope, you're going to get through this. Like, say that to yourself. Make it a daily affirmation. Encourage yourself. There was a song I used to listen to, maybe I met my husband in 2007. So I want to say like in 2006, 2005, 2006, there was a song, and he says like, sometimes I have to encourage myself. That song right there pulled me through so much stuff. There was another song, Imagine Me. Oh my God. I used to blast that song. And then when I went to the concert, it's a Kirk Franklin song. I went to the concert and he was on the stage. He's like, what song do you want to hear? I was like, imagine me. And I just kept saying it. And he was actually talking to somebody else because he was pointing at that person. And he was like, okay, I got you. So if I ever meet him, I would be like, hey, remember me during that concert? I was like, imagine me. But that song helped me so much to imagine myself in a different place. And isn't that what we're doing with our page? We are creating from our imagination. So even if we have to imagine ourselves in a different place so we can draw strength and be able to get through whatever we're feeling in this moment, that's what we need to do. Do not define yourself by what you're feeling. Imagine yourself somewhere else. Imagine yourself feeling peace. If you're not able to create and post, imagine yourself doing it. Sometimes just imagining it will get you through. But if you spend your time feeling like bad about yourself, feeling shameful because of you going through this dark place, you're not going to be able to harness that energy in a positive way. And I'm telling you, there can be a positive out of a negative situation. It really, really can. Don't allow that dark place to drag you down so far that you cannot find the positive when you get out. Because you're going to get out. And when you walk out, crawl out, however which way that you get out, use that energy and harness it to be able to empower yourself and thereby empower others. That's what we're called to do. That's what we're doing with our page. We're using doll therapy to get us through. Not only because dolls is fun and dolls are enjoyable, but there's a hidden part of us that just needs to be therapized. I don't know if that's the actual word, but I'm using it today. We need to be therapized. And we need to be able to know that we're not alone. And that's one of the things that this doll community has let me know, is that I'm not alone. And it has been the greatest amount of encouragement that I have felt. Yes. So I'm thankful for what you guys have given on to me, and anything that I've given on to you, I thank you for receiving. But I would definitely say I've benefited. I continue to benefit, and I thank you. So, understanding what's triggering me, and if possible, cut it off. If you're able to cut people off, and still do it in love. You don't have to cuss anybody out. You don't have to roll your neck or anything like that. You don't have to hang up the phone, but cut them off. You can still be polite about it. If it is necessary that it happens in a chaotic way, sometimes you have to be okay with that too. We don't always want it to happen in a chaotic way. We want it to be peaceful, a peaceful situation where it can be amicable, where both people are just like, hey, it's not working. But it doesn't always happen like that. Sometimes it can be kind of a nasty situation. And we have to come to a place of saying, I'm better off without you. My mental health, my spiritual health, my physical health is better whenever I cut you off. Even if the person cuts you off, sometimes you still have to be like, you know what? I may not have been able to be the one to cut you off, but it needed to happen because I got to get through this dark place. Okay? So now we want to talk about how to overcome the dark place. Like I said, you will walk through it. I don't care if you have to walk through it, run through it, crawl through it. You are going to get through it. Okay? And that's what we have to tell ourselves. I'm going to get through it. I'm going to get through it. It's not somewhere where I have to live. I don't have to set up a residence. I don't have to get a mailbox in this particular zone. I'm going to get through it. Okay? There's a book I love so much. I read a lot of different books whenever I have time to. I sometimes do audio books as well, especially now with the with the children and stuff. It's easier to do the audio books, and sometimes we'll put it on a speaker so that everyone can hear the book, and it makes life easier. But there's a book that I happen to enjoy a whole lot, and my kids brought it up, I think today, because I was asking them where my Rapunzel book was. I was like, where's my Rapunzel book? It's one of the few books I have that my dad gave to me, and it's signed by him. So it's really important. My dad passed away in 2014, December 15th, 2014. So, when someone passes away, you start like just grabbing hold to whatever you can that you may still have that, that has their handwriting and things like that. Like, it just means a whole lot. So I asked them where the book was. They told me where it was. And then they were like, and the Dr. Seuss book is in there. What Dr. Seuss book? I asked. And they were like, oh, the places you go. Well, they know how much I love that book. I love that book because it's so true. Like, if you haven't read the book, go out and get it. If you haven't read the book, go to YouTube even, because there may be someone who's reading the book. You don't just want to hear it. You want to actually see the pictures, because he even talks about a dark place in there. He talks about a waiting place in there. He talks about how you'll fly high with all the other ones, and then sometimes you'll end up, being shot down. Your hot air balloon will get pierced and you have to flow all the way down to the ground. And sometimes that'll happen, because sometimes it can. And it's so very true. There's a lot of different places that you'll go in your life that you weren't expecting. There's a lot of different feelings that you're going to have in your life that you weren't expecting. And you have to come to a place of accepting it. And I believe that would be my first thing to say as far as how to overcome. You have to come to a place of acceptance. Acceptance of the things that you cannot change. Acceptance of the things that you can change. Acceptance that this right here is just symptoms that I'm feeling. It's not me. It's not who I am. But it is something that I'm feeling right now. And it will pass if I let it. Acceptance. That'd be one of my key things. Accepting it, but not where you set up residence in it, okay? But just accepting. Because otherwise, if you keep fighting it and keep fighting it, then you're going to get exhausted. And being exhausted may cause you to linger in that place a little bit longer. So you can accept it, but still keep marching. Okay? Keep marching through those seasons. And you'll get through it. Another thing would be community. And before I even get to community, let's talk about support. Even if you just have one person who supports you, that's support. You need someone that you can communicate to, that you can talk to when you get into those dark places. You want to have someone that is not going to judge you for the things that you think or things that you say. You need someone that's willing to be a punching bag to you sometimes. Because sometimes being in a dark place, you can say some really mean things. And it's not so much that you mean it, but it comes out, right? Sometimes it could be a truth that you've been holding on to, and now you're in a dark place and you just splatter it out. And then sometimes it's just frustration, right? So you need someone who's like, I love you no matter what. I accept you for who you are no matter what. I know that this is not you. This is just a season that you're walking through. This is just a dark place that you're in right now. But guess what? I'm going to grab your hand. I'm going to hold on tight. I'm going to pull you out, and we're going to get out this together. Even if it's quicksand, we're going to get through this together. I'm going to find a stick. I'm going to hold it out. You're going to grab hold to it. And I'm going to pull you out. You need someone who's willing to walk in that dark place with you, who's willing to pull you out, who's willing to see the you that's in you, even whenever you don't see it. And you need someone who you can talk to about the things that you think. I don't care how crazy it sounds. I don't care how low it sounds, how depressed it sounds. You need someone who is spiritually girded up and strong enough to take it and say, that's not you. Let me still encourage you. Let me tell you the you that I see. Let me tell you I love you. Let me tell you I care about you. Let me tell you that what you do has an effect, a very positive effect on the rest of the world. I'm thankful because although when I was younger, I really was not very good at communicating. Like I said, my family, on my mom's side especially, really are not very big communicators. I said earlier, the way they show love is through bullying. On my dad's side, they were just very, distant, just very distant. And they said a lot of things that were more biblically based, but in the same hand, outside of my dad, and I haven't met everybody on that side of the family, so I'm not going to judge everyone. I haven't met everybody on my mom's side either. But from the ones that I have, had a relationship, who I've encountered, on my dad's side, they were very biblically based in their conversation, but personality-wise, character-wise, they were just very distant, very cold, kind of. So, like I said, outside of my dad, the more that I got to know him, I realized that he was very much different. But, I would definitely say you need somebody that you can talk to. I didn't know how to do that when I was younger. I didn't know how to communicate my thoughts. Didn't know how to articulate what I was feeling emotionally. And it was in the process of being married, in the process of growing with my partner, in the process of having someone that's like, I want to know the you that's in you, that I have now come to a place where I'm able to articulate what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking. The same thing with him. We are able to communicate and talk about what we're thinking and what we're feeling without judgment. And we both come from broken homes. We both come from divorced parents. We both come from being raised by single parents. And yet we both had a desire to have well-being in our marriage. So that's something that's very important, to have someone that's there for you as a support. What do I do if I don't have that? Okay, here goes the next point. Being able to be part of a community. We have this awesome, amazing doll community, Barbie community, DG community. And this community has definitely added so much to my confidence and my well-being and my esteem. It's just been awesome and amazing. So even if you're like, I don't have that one. I don't have four. I definitely don't have, I don't have one. I don't have four. Look at what we have right here on this platform. And allow yourself to be directed. To allow your spiritual guide to direct you to the person that you can be vulnerable with, that you can talk to. And it probably will be scary. It will. Like, let's not lie about that, right? Courage is that thing that you, even while being fearful, you still have to walk through it, right? So I'm not going to say, oh my God, it's going to be so easy to tell people what you're thinking. You really need to allow yourself to be led on who to talk to, have a spirit of discernment. You don't want to just be blabbing it off to everybody. This is what I'm feeling. Be comfortable in order to be vulnerable with the right person. I've been very blessed with the connections that I've made with my soul sisters on this page, to be able to talk to them whenever I need to about certain things. Or I could just have someone, like I've had happen before. I've had a soul sister just write me and say, I've been feeling in my spirit that you're going through something. And I wanted to write you and just tell you, to hang in there. She just felt it on her heart. And it's always a blessing to me in order to have those conversations with her. So allow yourself to be led to the right person. That would be one. Just know that you're going to get through this. You're going to get through this. Don't allow yourself to get so deep into whatever you're feeling that you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. You may not see it immediately, but know that it's there. One of the other things that I do want to bring up while we are talking about being in a dark place is understanding that your mind and your body are not two disconnected things. That's like my other point that I want you to know. They're actually interwoven. So if your mind's feeling unhealthy, your body feels unhealthy. If your body feels unhealthy, your mind can feel unhealthy, right? And I think culturally, and I don't know how things are in someone else's country, but I could only really say from the States, we like to separate things. We separate things. We say that the mind is separate from the body. Body is separate from the mind. So someone can feel like I'm eating right. I'm making sure that I have nutritious meals. I'm working out 3 times a week. I'm making sure that I'm always weighing myself. High struggles with Sally, making sure to weigh myself. I'm making sure that I'm physically fit. I haven't had a cold. I haven't had a flu. I haven't had this. My body is prepped. What's going on in your mind? Because both of them are interwoven. I used to really love the yin yang when I was high. When I was younger, I used to admire that particular image and that particular symbol, because it really does show that everything is connected. Everything's a part of each other. And so it's important that we realize that our mind is just as much of a part of our body, as much as our body is a part of our mind, just as much as it is a part of our spirit, right? We have all these other dimensions of ourselves, and we can't separate them, and we shouldn't. And we need to make sure that we're managing it, and that here goes that word, using self-care. I know that was a huge trending topic in 2019 and 2020. Well, it's still relevant today. It's always going to be a relevant thing as long as we have breath in our being. Self-care is so important. It's so important. So when we get into talking about how do I manage, how do I get out of this dark place? And for anyone who just joined and you're going, what is a dark place? Our dark place is an area that is not fully known. It's mysterious. It's just this dark place of our mind. I tell you, they had this one statement called the dark night of the soul. And if you look at it from a religion expression, it's used to describe metaphorically a period of ignorance and spiritual crisis that precedes the communion with divinity. But also it can be seen in a larger meaning in order to refer to having a hard time. going through a phase of pessimism, sadness, failure, what we would call depression or anxiety, and just being in this place of feeling lonely, not being able to sleep, not being able to eat, oversleeping, overeating, everyone's symptoms of anxiety and so forth are going to be different. It's different for each person. There's no way that you could really just box it up and say, everyone's symptoms are the same. Everyone's symptoms are different, but understand that their symptoms is not who you are. So just in case you're joining, that's what we've been talking about. If this message is triggering for you, I would definitely advise you to hop on off, go back to one of my other messages if you missed it or you want to rewatch it, and join me next week as well, because that one won't be as much of a triggering message, okay? So we're talking about the importance of making sure that you are upkeeping on your mental health, on your mental well-being, because dark places are real. It is a place where you feel helpless. It's a place where time and everything just start to blend into each other, and you just kind of lack that necessary care for yourself that you need that's going to help you push forward. So right now we are talking about what ways I can overcome it. 1, accepting it, like I said earlier. 2, having support from those around you who you can trust, who are non-judgmental. It would be great if you had like a handful of friends. If you don't, all you need is one. If you don't have the one, and if you do have the one, don't neglect the dial community, because we're here for you. We are, allow yourself to be guided in the spirit as far as who you would talk to. So that you can make sure that that's the right person for you to talk to, because the dial community is still a community. It still has people. There could be someone that you may disclose your information to who may not have the proper maturity level and will air your business out. And then that's not going to help, right? That's going to make things worse. So make sure that the person that you talk to is someone that you can trust, someone that you feel led to talk to, right? And who is able to respond to you and really understand you. And sometimes it can be as easy as, if you're doing storylines like I do, you'll have someone who writes you and says, oh, your storyline you put out really did resonate with me. I've gone through a similar situation. And before you know it, now you're dialoguing, and they shared personal information with you, and you share personal information with them, and it feels right, And if you're someone who's not used to doing it, like I really was not used to talking to anyone about my personal information, it can feel a little bit odd. I'm not going to lie. You're like, should I have done that? Did I say too much? But with repetitive conversations with that particular individual, it's going to start feeling more like a warm place. Like that friendship's really going to settle in, and you're going to feel like, okay, this was the right person for me to talk to. Hello, how are you? Thank you for joining. Another thing to do, find a healing power in Pinterest, right? And I'm getting this information right here from M. Huff Post. So www.mhuffpost.com. Find the healing power of Pinterest or any other platform, even if it's just going out to a hobby store like Hobby Lobbies or Michael's. And no, I'm not being sponsored. I'm just putting it out there as far as that you can go to an actual physical location and see different crafts and just be inspired, and it could be Walmart. I remember many times, I remember my husband and I walking through aisles and being like, oh, we could use that cotton right there and make pillows. Oh, we can make wreaths with that. Oh, we can have the kids do STEM projects with that. Oh, we could do this. Hey, I tell you what we can make with this. We can take this frame and put it right here. And hey, we'll use that acrylic paint right there. And we didn't have the money for it, but we were just creating from our imagination. And it would allow us to be able to be healed from whatever we were going through. Right? So that's important. You can go on Pinterest, which is an online platform, and look and see what other people are making and creating, and allow those creative juices to just really get to you, because creativity is contagious. So when you see them and the things they've done, you're like, yeah, I could do that. I like that. That's nice. So find the healing power of Pinterest or any other creative platform. Number 2 would be to take I can't really say number 2, but the next one would be to take a social media holiday. You may need to get off of here. You may need to go experience nature. You may need to watch a comedy movie or series. You may need need to. You may need to log off, especially if you feel like whenever you get on here and you see other people post and you go, I haven't posted in a while and life's been getting to me and I really want to post and I haven't been able to take any pictures and I got to find my doll's clothes and I got to do this and and then it feels all weighted down and it's not fun anymore. That's not fun. You need to go ahead and take a social media break. Like I said, we're still here. We are not going anywhere. We love you and we love what you do. So even if you take a week, 2 weeks, however long it takes, 2 days, 3 months. I've seen somebody, I checked up on her because I think that I hadn't really seen any of her posts in like 6 months or 8 months. And she ended up getting back, posting and stuff. But it was like 6 or 8 months before she really did come back to the doll community. Whatever you need to take, you have to do. So if you need to do a social media holiday, do it. Next thing, hit the gym. Go to the gym. I know we got the pandemic going on. Some people are like, I'm not going to the gym. That's cool. I understand. Do some working out at home. Breaking a sweat, getting those endorphins up. It can make you feel so much better. Walk around your house. Do a jog. Get on a cubie. I got a cubie that my husband and my children got me for Mother's Day a few years ago. And so it's tucked underneath the kitchen table. And I just pull that thing out and get those legs pumping, get that cardio, you can really sweat. And it feels really good. So those endorphins make you feel happy, right? It sounds like off of, what's my movie that I like? Legally Blonde. She's like, there's no way that she did it. She's happy. Happy people don't kill people. So it's a really good movie if you've never seen it. Legally Blonde. But yes, allow your endorphins and serotonins to, get pumped up, get those hormones activated and get a surplus of it so that you can feel better internally. Read or watch something funny. Get a funny book. Watch a funny movie. Like I said, for my storyline, I know I deal with a lot of serious content. And I like it that way. But nonetheless, I also have a desire to put more comical things out there. My husband and I have a background as comedians, which some people may or may not know. But alongside of our long list of other things we've done on our resume, we also used to go to the comedy club as comedians. We used to have our own open mics at a restaurant that's actually located in the Highlands, and like where we live at. And we really enjoyed it. My husband got into comedy before I did, and then we ended up doing it together as husband and wife. And we did it all the way up until almost like before my twins came. I was pregnant with my twins. And we were still doing the comedy, still going to other people's open mics, hosting our own open mics. And then I came to a point where I was told by the doctor, you have to do bed rest in order to keep them in there longer. So that kind of changed things up. But I enjoyed it. It's a great thing to be able to laugh. It is such a, what is it? Laughter is great medicine. Laughter is good medicine. Or just laughter is medicine. It really is. It's medicine. And it really does. It's medicine to your soul. It's medicine to the spirit. It's what keeps you encouraged and allows you to be able to have the gumption to go forth, right? And it gives you a whole new perspective. It's important to laugh. Do not neglect your laughter. Like I said, when it comes to my storyline, I do have more serious content. I like to utilize Heidi and Kai as my comic relief, especially Kai. Kai is quite a comical character. So I'm looking forward to being able to incorporate him more in my storyline because I do believe that laughter is good. And I may throw in a few more comical characters because I do have a background as a comedian and I enjoyed it. Now, hosting comedy events and open mics is totally different than actually just going to someone else's open mic or going to a competition, because I've done competitions. And I've even been part of a lineup with a Thanksgiving show that we had here in town. It's totally different. Because when you have to host the event, you got to, manage over people's time. I remember my mother used to watch our children while we were doing the the open mics, and she would be like, okay, you guys have fun. And it was so very far from fun. It was fun, but you're having to manage people's time. You're having to make sure that the jokes that they were doing, because we were at a public venue, were appropriate for the venue. And there's just a lot of different things that went into making sure that it was done properly. But nonetheless, comedy is a good thing. Barbie Size Life of Vinla says, I agree so much. It releases endorphins. It's so much better to learn to laugh to the bad times. Makes it so much easier to go through. And it does. It does. So if you're able to inject some comedy into your storyline, I would advise you doing that. Even if you have to just throw in a new character and have that, maybe certain characters that you have, they kind of already have a set personality. And for them to be comical would be outside of their character. So you don't want to have them do something that's bizarre to them, right? But I would advise you, when you're writing your storyline and you feel like maybe my topics are a little too heavy and I could inject some comedy, get a new doll. Get a new doll. It could be a doll that you have on the shelf. It could be a doll that's at the toy store, or in the toy aisle at the store. Grab that doll and put that doll in there as a comic relief, because it gives your audience a little breather from the seriousness of what's going on. And it also gives you, the administrator, the writer, the storyteller, an opportunity to just breathe, right? We don't want our storylines to be so serious that it becomes triggering to us. In the same hand, we do want to use it as a platform of therapy and fun and having it as our hobby. So get it out of you, but don't allow yourself to be so stressed with it. Hi, how are you, True Big Kid? Thank you for joining. So we already talked about hitting gym. We talked about reading and watching something funny. I'd also say, I'm sorry there. I like this cup. I do. I would also say cleaning or tidying up something will also help you feel better. Can I get that in writing from you so I can explain another purchase to my wife? Good one. I like that one. I could put that in writing, though. And speaking of which, I do have books available on Amazon. I'm glad you did say that. And those books are the Ed Sacred Pair Presents Storyline Content and Character Development Journal. There's also a planner, and there's also the Character Origin Journal, which will help you to develop your characters. And there's a whole bunch of different questions, such as the name of your character, their date of birth, where do they live, what family members do they have, what's their occupation, did they finish school, how much do they enjoy having fun, what things do they wear, what's their morning routine, what's their night routine, things like that. All those questions are in there to help you develop your characters. It can help you develop pre-existing characters that are in development, and the planner is there to help you as far as, you can do that any which way you want. There's plenty of space, lots of pages, so you can write down in there about events that's coming up, and you can, mark that in there. You can use another page in order to talk about when you're going to be taking your pictures so that you feel more organized on that. So thank you for bringing that up. But you do make me think about putting that in writing. As you know, I'm an indie author. So if the people want it, let's do it. So cleaning or tidying up something will also help you. Getting rid of things. Right now, my household is in the midst of getting rid of things. Yes. And some things it's kind of hard to part with, but it's worth it. It really is. Now, I'm really used to giving away things. That's what my norm is. Like if I, need to get rid of something and it's still in good condition, then I will give it away. But because of the pandemic, many of the places that we've contacted here in our area has stated that they are not receiving anything as far as clothes or toys unless it's still packaged. So unfortunately, we're having to literally throw it out, which is not really what I want to do, but it's for the best because we need the space. We've got 10 little kiddos in ourselves. So we need to make sure that we are accommodating to our space and to us so that we can have more comfortability and more internal and external peace. And so it's very important that you clean up, tidy up, get rid of stuff, even if it's hard to get rid of. But what I notice in myself is that the more that I throw away stuff, the more better I feel, right? So throw it away. Throw it away. So if it's no longer serving you in a positive way, throw it away. Throw it away. This has been a great talk, but I have to run. I'll catch the rest on replay. Have a great day. You too, Mel Chocho. Thank you so much for joining. And thank you for catching on replay. All right. Exercising patience with yourself and with others. This is very important. I only have a couple more points, but it's very important that you exercise patience with yourself. Just like you would tell someone else, hang in there. It's okay. Be patient. It's going to, this process is going to ride. You're going to come out of your dark place. Do the same with yourself. The same messages that you would use to encourage someone else, encourage yourself with that. Be patient with you. Don't be so hard on you and be like, I should be through this by now. I shouldn't be feeling this amount of grief. I shouldn't be feeling this. And we could go into dark places when it's the anniversary of someone's death, someone that we love. We could be riding high, everything going really, really good. And then you come right around the month of October. You come right around the month of December. And you feel such heavy grief. And you just really have a hard time understanding why. And you feel like, oh, well, it's been this amount of years, X amount of years. I should be fine with it. We're right at the holidays. I should be happy. No, there's a lot of people who celebrate the holidays in depression. There's a lot of people who are going through grief. And then feeling shameful for feeling bad. Don't feel shameful. Like I said, you're not the only one going through this. This is honestly, a very normal process. And you have to be patient with yourself. And then harness the energy from it and use it. Use it to create. You may not be able to create when you're in that dark place. Hello, it's dark. You can't really see, right? You're not going to be able to draw or write or anything like that. You can bring the tools in the room with you, right? I'm just talking about from a spiritual standpoint, an imaginative standpoint. You could bring those things in there with you. You could bring the phone with you and the camera with you and the toys with you. But the reality is, if it's dark, can I really take a picture? I can't really see what I'm posing. I don't even see what I'm doing. So sometimes I cannot create in that space. And I have to be patient with myself to be okay with that. But knowing that when I get through this, oh, it's on. I'm going to create and I'm going to manifest things from my imagination that I didn't even know that I could do. So sometimes you have to allow that dark space to push you to do things that you didn't know that you could do. I'm honestly, real talk, an introvert. I am an honest introvert. Sometimes when I send out messages to people to join me during these lives so we can chat and talk about dolls and miniatures and lighting and all this wonderful stuff, right? And photography, they'll write me and say, I can't do what you do. I'm an introvert. I'm really, really shy. And I'm like, hey, guess what? Me too. I can't tell you how often I get nervous. I literally get bubble cuts before I come on here sometimes. A lot of times. Almost every time. Stomach just right? I'm like, I don't know if I can go on there. So it's okay. It's okay if you're an introvert. It's okay if really where you gain the momentum and energy of your whole being is from being by yourself. That's okay. That's okay. Right? Be patient with you. Be patient with you. Because you never know what those dark spaces can produce in you. I didn't know that these IG Live TV or IG Live shows, okay, TV shows. I didn't know that this would be something that I would be able to do. I did not. But dark places can push you into different milestones that you didn't even know that you would be able to do. Every time whenever I talk to you guys and I share this moment with you, it's a milestone for me. Especially coming from a person that was very introverted, very shy, very much just, I generate energy from doing alone things, from reading and from, writing and just being in my own little realm. So So this right here has been an enjoyment. Now, don't get me wrong. I did used to go out and club. I used to party. I used to hang out. I used to have my friends. But even with that, there were times when I would sit there at the table and just be like, why am I here with them? Why am I out? And they'd be like, here goes your vodka and cranberry juice, Rashida. And I was like, hey, I get enough in me. And I was a whole nother person. I was all about having fun right then, right? But it took the drinks to really get me to that point of wanting to be with them. Because, real talk, I didn't want to be out with them. I was like, okay, it's midnight. I should be home. And they'd be like, okay, we'll leave whenever you want to, but how about you have this drink? And I'd be like, okay. How about 2, 3 more, 4 more, do a little tequila. And I was like, okay, I'm out there. Well, thank God I don't have to do that anymore to get to that point to want to interact with people. But I am very much more of an introvert. I see my little curvy world said, I told y'all I am shy off camera. Yeah. A lot of us are very, very shy and very, very introverted. Very, very much nervous when we get on here. Right? So it's not like you think it is. But those dark places can really take you to a place where you are willing to manifest and create things that you didn't know was inside of you. So be patient with you. Exercise patience with yourself. Just like you have to exercise and work out. When you exercise and work out, do you drop the inches and the weight immediately? Heck no. Not at all. And I'm pretending I'm on elliptical right now, but it's not going to happen immediately. Or if I'm speed walking, it doesn't happen immediately. It takes days, and days become weeks, and weeks become months, and sometimes it can be a year, and sometimes it can be years. And then you start really, really seeing. Now, you may have some immediate things to start to shed off, and you're like, oh, wow. But as far as really seeing a difference, you have to exercise constantly. You can't exercise and just stop and be like, oh, okay, well, I thought it was just going to shed by me sitting here. No. You have to work it. And that's the same thing right there. Exercise patience with yourself. More than once. You can't just be patient with yourself on one season when you felt depressed and down. And some people have seasonal depression as well. You can't just be like, okay, well, I was cool with myself right then, but now I'm really, really mad at myself because I should be through this. No, be patient. Be patient with you. Okay, so just going to go ahead and read these last ones. Reaching out to who you trust, which we already talked about that. And then ensuring that life goes on. Life goes on. You're not your symptoms. You're not. You truly are not your symptoms. Don't allow yourself to feel that because you have the anxiety or the depression or whatever the case is, that's who you are. And I understand that some of us are on this platform and we may have to take medication. We may literally have certain symptoms that we've been diagnosed with, and we have to take medicine in order to be able to, manage it. I understand that. That doesn't make you that particular diagnostic. Okay? So whatever you've been diagnosed with, that is the actual, syndrome. You are not the syndrome. You are the wonderful, creative, awesome, amazing, loving, caring being that you were created to be. So you do have to be able to say, yeah, that's here. That doesn't mean, hey, stop taking your medicine. If you are on prescription, take it. Take it like your doctor told you. So I don't want you saying, hey, I was watching Sacred Para. Sacred Para said I don't have to. No, not at all. Whatever you were prescribed to do, that's what you do. But also understand that there's this higher you, and embrace that higher you. Don't allow your dark spaces to control you. Allow yourself to walk through it, run through it, march through it, crawl through it, cry, slobber through it. Whatever you have to do, get through it. So if you have any questions or comments, I can answer it right now. I thank you guys for being with me. Like I said, I know this one was a little bit of a, I'm not going to say darker message, but a little bit of more of a triggering message. And we talk about dark places, and it's Halloween. And I'm pretty sure some people were like, oh, she must be talking about Halloween decorations. No, not today. but just encouraging you that even if you're not able to create when you go to a dark place, and not everyone does, but if you do have symptoms where you do go through that, allow yourself to be patient, get through it, be gentle with yourself, harness that energy, and use it to create when you get through it. So I'll give you a few more minutes in case you have anything that you want to say, any comments, any questions that you'd like me to answer. This still had to do with storyline content creation and development, and I'll give you an example. I know I gave an example a little earlier, but if any of us are bold and courageous enough, you could even have a character who may have issues with anxiety and needs to be able to just, walk through that on your storyline. So you could harness that energy and use it with the creation of a new character or of a pre-existing character. Barbie-sized life of Vinla. I think it's important to talk about these subjects. Life isn't always sunshine and rainbows. Talks like this takes stigma away from it. Thank you. Yes. And actually what's so awesome and interesting is that Sunday is actually Mental Health Awareness Day. So it's a very important conversation and dialogue for us to have, because too many of us who are creatives have felt stifled and have felt just burdened by the anxiety that we feel, or pressures that we feel, or if we have any kind of mental breakdowns, we feel like we're in it alone. And you're not in it at all alone. And I believe when we talk about social media and we look at everyone who's smiling and they're having such great days and they're taking vacation pictures, it's so easy to think, why can't I be like them? Why can't I smile? Why can't I have hope? Why can't I just think that, have this life that looks so perfect? High bars for us. And we can get very, very caught up in the look of things, and it can add to the weight of what you're feeling, right? But not understanding everyone's human. Everyone goes through some type of anxiety and issues and pressures and some depression moments. And we don't know what people are really going through in their own life. And when we talk about our dolls, there's many of us who've never even shown our face, right? And that's fine. That's totally fine. So there's some of us who have never shown our face. So our communication with each other is completely through our dolls and the pictures that our dolls are photoed as. And so we go by that and we say, oh, wow, this person must be doing great. They must be doing great. And we really do feel that the photos of the dolls represents the people. Not necessarily. I just listened to someone's YouTube live, and it was interesting because they put such awesome and amazing Halloween decorations out for their dolls. Just amazing decorations. And then during the live, when asked questions like, have you decorated? What are you going to wear? Who are you going to be? Costume-wise, they were like, well, we really don't wear costumes. We want to, but then we just don't happen to. And no, we haven't decorated yet for Halloween. We may throw out something outside. And no, we don't really do trick-or-treating. And we may end up putting some candy or some toys or some pencils out there for people and just put it in a jar and let them get it. And it was so opposite of what the diorama showed. So to me, with that, and it wasn't any fault, of the person. It wasn't me going, It was me looking at it and saying how interesting it was that our dolls' lives emulate something that we desire. That we ourselves may not dress as fashionable as our dolls. Like, look at this sister today. Both of them, they're just twinning it out today. They are looking quite nice with their Roxy clothes on. But guess what? When I get off of this live, I'm probably going to put my little warm PJs on and get through the rest of the day and make the chicken tacos and do whatever else it is that I need to do and scrape off my makeup. So who I am right now is going to be a lot different if you were to knock on my door and see me. Thank you. They are super cute, aren't they? But I'm not going to be dressed like this if you were to randomly knock on my door. Right? But we can sometimes see the pictures and see these photos and see how the people set up their dioramas. And we can come to a place of just feeling like, man, I wish that was me. I wish I could dress my dolls in that. I wish I could afford that. I wish I could buy all that miniature food. I wish I was sponsored too. I'll never, because I'll never. And then you feel even worse. Based off of the dolls. So for me, it was almost like a reality check. Like, okay, yeah, they may have their dolls dressed in this particular way, and they may have, the house decorated in such a way, but the reality is different. The reality of who they are is different. And that's that sweet moment when we can see people for who they really are, because it can help us to see ourselves for who we are. And I believe sometimes the anxiety that we feel, the pressures that we feel, the depression that we feel, and any other symptoms that we feel can sometimes be egged on from us feeling inferior and not as worthy as other people. I wish my lighting was like that when I took pictures. What kind of camera do they use? Oh, I'm just using this phone. It doesn't matter. Get it out there. I don't care if you have 4 dolls, 2 outfits, and you're rotating the outfits between the 4 dolls, and you've got a camera phone that's 5 years old. Use it. No one is here to judge. And if they are judging you, and if they do DM you a message that says, I could tell that the quality of your pictures were pretty low, tell them thank you. Maybe they would like to help you invest in a new phone. Maybe they would like to purchase you a new phone so you can do better pictures if it bothers them that much. But again, this is one of those things you have to look at the serenity prayer and be like, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. If you are using what you have around you to make it work, and it helps you feel calm, and it helps you feel peace, helps you feel love, helps you feel joy, helps you feel peace, then do it. But do not judge yourself by what you think other people have on their page. Amen. Yes, amen. Bars for us. Amen. Milo Curvy World said, I hope I don't feel like that about my page. It took years and depression to get there. Exactly. So you hope that other people don't feel like that about your page. Exactly. Oh my gosh. Now my little curvy world was check out, which I am about to close out, but I do want to keep this in mind for you on Fridays. At 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I want you guys to check out my little curvy world. Her page, she always does an IG live. She talks about how to be able to create with the things around you and being able to make these wonderful masterpieces. Last week, she showed the staircase that she created. I was like, wow, out of cardboard? Are you serious? This Friday, she showed the table that she created, and it had the pedestal platform. Just really amazing work. And she always encourages people to know you can do it too. But in regards to the comment that you just said about it took you years of depression to get there. Once again, that is an example of harnessing the energy from the symptoms of depression in order to make something positive. So you can make something positive with your storyline. You can make something positive with your crafts. You can make something positive with your fashion. Make something positive from it. Don't allow it to become something that rules you. So, thank you so much for saying that. Tonight, My Little Curvy World will come on at 8 p.m. There were some technical difficulties yesterday with the Wi-Fi outage, I do believe. or internet outage. And so she will be continuing that conversation today at 8. It's 4:34, so you've got about 3.5 hours to be able to join my little Curvy world and bring your crafts with you. Bring your cardboard and your glue stick and scissors, and you'll be able to make some fun creations for your dolls. So harness that energy. Don't let it go to waste. Harness it, okay? So I do hope that this has been a helpful live for you. I thank you for joining me. I thank you every time whenever you join me. And just like Bob Ross said, anyone can paint, well, anyone can write. Whatever it is that's on your heart to do, even if it's not a linear storyline, but you're like, I think I'm going to test it out. I'm going to test the waters and make a storyline with this one post or 2 posts. Do it. Do it. Your page is your hobby. It's your love. It's your passion. You do your page the way that you enjoy. Love your lives. Oh, love your lives too. Enjoy seeing your face. Bars for Us. Check out Bars for Us page as well. And on Friday, Bars for Us has a collaboration that she does, and where she has the black and white Friday photos. So if you enjoy doing black and whites, you've never done black and whites, and you want to test the waters with it, go to Bars for Us page. There is a hashtag that goes along with it. And I do believe it's every Friday. Correct me if I'm wrong. But there is the black and white photos. I just joined this week. I've been wanting to join for such a long time. And I was able to join yesterday. And I was like, yay! Yay! I was excited. I see such fantastic pictures in black and white that comes through that hashtag. So definitely check out Bars for Us page as well. Yes, on Fridays. Use your energy to create. And the hashtag, in case you're watching this on replay, is hashtag black in, like the actual letter in, white doll Friday. Yay. Oh, yes, definitely. I appreciate you. So I'm going to go ahead and close this out. I do hope that this has been a helpful live for you. Next week's going to be a little different. I have 2 lives. Yes. 2 lives. I got a live on Friday, and that live on Friday is going to be at 1 o'clock, I do believe, but I will be putting out that flyer so you can see. And I also have another live on Saturday, and I do believe that was going to be at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But I want you to be on the lookout for the flyers, because I am going to be putting those flyers out. I'm going to have 2 awesome and amazing guests. One of the guests you've already seen before. We always have such great dialogue. I am hoping that very, very soon my little Curvy world and I will be able to get into another conversation, because we actually had the very first conversation about storyline content development, or storyline content and character development. And wow, look at where things are at right now. So I know we have discussed it, but she has her Friday show. And so we're going to try to get that organized as well, so that we can be able to talk about storyline content and character development again, and talk about being able to create with crafts, with cardboard. So definitely looking forward to being able to talk to you. Yes, she said yes, anytime, sis. Yes, so we need to coordinate that this weekend, hopefully. Look at our calendars, see what we have available, and make that happen. But there are going to be 2 lives. Look out for the flyers. I'm really excited to be able to talk to both of these young ladies, and just being able to discuss with you about characters. So again, I do hope that you are able to receive this information, use it for your storyline, understand that you are special, you are wonderful, and we thank God for you being here. So have an awesome, amazing weekend. Thank you, Bars for Us. Bye-bye, everyone. Love you guys. Bye-bye.